Nobody really knows when Galloway and Obama are going to fulfill their side of the agreement, the bargain, the deal they made with George Bush to finish the job of decoytery and thuggery. They've smashed me pretty good. Everyone knows there's a lot of hot wiring, there's a lot of wiring, cross wiring, a lot of cables and stuff involved in a band like Crimsio. My father's books had some colorful passages on what was known at one time in America as the normal school movement. I always thought those were interesting to ponder because it shows the way a surface presentation can be made that the public school system is meant to empower the students and bring them to life and inspire creativity rather than in, induce obedience. And when we got rid of corporal punishment, the smacking of the hands with the ruler, the Masons came out with their stolen cars and lead pipe children to kidnap, torture, and gas little boys, like myself, which was regaled by Galloway and Obama as normal school movement. I've never really understood how Vince Irene got away with making the Terry Visco tape, much less how Martin Sheen got away with working with Will Zell on Mount Desert Island, because it clearly shows that they organized and planned the AIDS attack. Bush announced against racism with the fisted holler right now, which is like Bush Snell. It was Bush's Snell. He wanted the fighting warriors to prevail over the weak. John Lennon's Bushnell was I'll take the young and healthy. But Galloway was in South Africa, and a lot of closet diplomacy went on. The history of the letter shows that Israel conspired to murder Martin Luther King. And these people do not care. I just got out of that they just erase American history before they let people evaluate that fact. I mean, how could these classy women and their bombastic husbands justify deafening a child and then castrating him? It's just, and look themselves in the mirror. They do it by pretending that it didn't happen that way, which is bad enough. Galloway's weakness has always been his propensity for scandal mongering, sex slanders. And we know that powerful politics is involved in this kind of mongering. But the payola aside, the dignities of politics do not rest in yellow journalism. When you look at the situation, I came from the Galloway sing along, and they like rowdy stuff. So you get, sort of a company corps d'esprit from getting into the, you know, wrangling of the tone of the jock itching soccer party. And they conjured the illusion that meant that I was one of these people who knew what was going along, and I was deaf. I was cheated of an education. I was washing dishes. It was a miracle of weirdness that I got involved with Carnegie Mellon University to the degree that I did, or that Robert Fripp would write to me or something like that. They never taught me sign language. See, what you pretend you don't understand is the way the deaf community operates. The deaf community is in isolation everywhere. It's colonized. But when you're not completely deaf, when you're being told to pretend that you can hear, you're isolated from the deaf community too. So I was a colony of one, a person who was in absolute isolation. And that's the reality of the pathetic thing that they did. Then they come on to me with, like, oh, well, the girls used you. And the girls find other girls. This is a closest continuous strategy, a tag team strategy. They have pornographic agents who gladly worked at Climax One. When I was a child, Climax One is the only establishment that obeyed the laws. They refused to allow the perpetrators, the transporters, to take me inside. I sat in the lobby, frightened out of my mind, quiet all night. And they find a girl who has a friend of a friend who was abused. So they say, he had a girlfriend. Therefore, he abused a friend of a girl from Climax One who was abused because he's part of the human race. And this gets real loud airplay in Russia, in China, in Pittsburgh, when it comes to Croquet Grigusta and her TikTok war. Real loud. Because they have a money bag. Elon Musk and them have money bags that they pass around. Galloway's under his honor to finish the job for George Bush, with whom he cut the deal. It's pathetic and sad to see the monstrosity that they forestalled turning on them. Gaza is not just not for the weak, faint-hearted. Something has gone badly wrong. But the people who are putting up a bulwark about it are bullshitters because they refuse to take on what happened on Mount Desert Island for what it was. You can't just do yellow journalism about Epstein, yellow journalism about Epstein, yellow journalism about Epstein. You have to see the strategy of using the yellow journalism mentality to pull off the AIDS attack and empower Yoko Ono's sisterhood of pornographic agency clouters working with Toon. You have to see it. And because there's these wires and these people who have seen the complications of the wires say, aha, we know what they do not see. So even though it led to this, all we have to do is say, oh, we don't like what they're doing to Gaza, boo-hoo, while they're slapping five and token tequila, and snorting Judas Priest.